What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. And in today's quick tip, we're going to talk about quantization, okay? And specifically for orchestral music, why we might use quantization and why maybe we wouldn't. So, what is quantizing? So, quantizing is basically when after you put in a MIDI performance, after you perform some type of line. Quantizing really helps you to line things up properly. And usually it's as simple as pressing one key on your keypad. So let's say you program the drum part, let's say, and it's a little bit uneven. Some beats are not falling on the downbeat. Some of them are a little bit, sloppily played in. Quantizing can really help with this. So there's a debate kind of like, should we quantize a lot or should we quantize just a little bit to nudge things in? And there's no real straight answer here, but especially for acoustic music, like orchestral music like this, we typically like to go somewhere in the middle, okay? And it's all about finding a balance. So if you find that your drum performance is okay, but it's not entirely on the grid, then you might want to quantize it about 80 to 90% and leave a little bit of discrepancy in there just to leave in that human element, right? Because again, as humans, I mentioned this in the previous video, but we're not perfect, right? We can't play everything perfectly all the time. So quantizing can help us, but taking it too far can sound like a robot, and we don't want to sound like a robot. So let me show you a little example here. I'll play something in with Cineorg and like a standard chord progression, and then we'll record a string line on top, and we'll see if we need to quantize it or not. So here we go. Let's just go with that. So now let me play in a string line on top here, and you'll notice I did not quantize the the chords we just played here. I just want to leave it nice and natural. It didn't sound entirely out of time. It was fine. Nothing wrong with it. So let's pull in Cinematic Studio Strings and just play a melody here. All right. So did I play perfectly? No, I did not. Do I need to nudge some things back in time? I absolutely do. Can I do that without quantizing everything? Yes, I can. Now the reason I might consider quantizing is if everything is just out of time, a little bit out of time, and I need to lock it in just a little bit more. In this case, there were a couple notes that were a little bit off. So what I can do is just select those notes and then press Q to quantize and see what happens. And if it's too straight, I'm going to nudge them back a little bit. So let's have a quick listen. So right there, I'm going to fix. So the only problem area I heard was really with these three notes. So this one came a little bit late, and so did this one, and then this one came a little bit early. So if I press quantize for those three, you can see it nudges them earlier. And basically it draws you to the nearest beat it was on. It depends on like if you're going with a 16th note, 32nd note, or whatever. But in this case, we're just trying to nudge these three notes here. So let's see what it sounds like with this straight quantizing. Now, okay, so I like where this last note comes in, but I'm not sure I like these two notes. This one still is coming a little bit late, so I might nudge that a little bit ahead. And because this is Cinematic Studio Strings, it has a bit of natural delay in it. So I'm going to pull that back, and this one I'm going to pull back as well. So usually it just makes your job a little bit easier if you're trying to do these edits here. Let's see what it sounds like now. That's better, right? So there we go. That's an example with a more lyrical thing. Let's try a really quick example with staccato. So I'm going to take this out. I'm just going to select, let's say, spiccato. And I'm going to perform a really quick rhythm, see what we get here. Let's go up to like 130, see what this sounds like. All right, let's do it. Here we go. Okay, so let's go over here and let's have one more quick listen here. Right now, if we're talking about how it lines up specifically with the click, you can definitely hear the glaring discrepancies and where I'm a little bit off, where I'm late, where I may be a little bit early. Let's take off the click for a second and see what that sounds like. Okay, so aside from those couple little spots where the last note of each group felt like a little bit early, it didn't sound as bad as when I had it with the click. But just for fun, let's see what happens if I highlight everything, click quantize, and now you can see everything is locked to the grid, to the nearest note, so nearest beat. Let's see what we get now. Okay, it actually sounds pretty good. But let's say I wanted it a little less to the grid. So I actually pull it back here to about 80, let's say. And now you see a couple of the notes moved a little bit. Now it's not very much, but if we have one more listen, oops, one more time. And there we go. To me, that strikes a perfect balance between in time, but not too robotic, and 100% on the grid. Now, I will admit, when it was at 100, I actually quite liked it because because of the round robins that are recorded, each of those short notes sounds different, even if I play the same note, twice. So it gave it that realism. But in addition, the timing discrepancies also help a little bit, just lending that tiny bit more, of realism to the overall thing. So definitely something to consider when you're writing orchestral music specifically. I would definitely not quantize 100%. I would leave room for human error, and especially if you're performing things in live, as a performer, no matter how good you are, you're probably going to have some discrepancies here and there. So just keep that in mind. You don't have to quantize everything, and if you do, don't quantize 100%. Here you can, I like my sweet spot is about 80 to 90% depending on the instrument. If you're doing pop music, for example, then you might want to quantize 100% if everything is supposed to be locked to the grid and it's supposed to be very, straightforward and just moving along as it is, go for it there. But for orchestral music, it's a different context, and if we're looking for realism and trying to emulate real players, then people don't play perfectly. So anyway, that's a little quick tip for you. Hopefully that makes sense. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow in another video. Have an awesome day. Bye-bye.